Our News from the Hill segment tonight. It's hard to make the topic of tax cuts exciting unless you dangle a wad of cash in front of the taxpayers. But perhaps that's what President Trump's new proposal actually does. Trump's proposed cuts are pretty big news. On Wednesday, the administration released a plan for major tax cuts, including a 20% cut to the corporate tax rate. So how will this plan impact the economy and your bottom line? Take a look.
We're going to cut taxes and simplify the tax code by taking the current 7 tax brackets we have today and reducing them to only 3 brackets. A 10% bracket, a 25% bracket.
As the president said during the campaign, we will lower the business rate to 15%. We will make it a territorial system. We will have a one-time tax on overseas profits, which will bring back trillions of dollars that are offshore to be invested here in the United States to purchase capital and to create jobs.
Joining me now, policy analyst at the Rowe Institute at the Heritage Foundation, Adam Michel. Adam, good to see you.
Good to see you again.
All right, talk to me about this tax reform plan. What do you think?
You know, I think it signals that President Trump is, in fact, committed to lowering taxes for Americans. The piece that's probably getting the most coverage is this 15% rate for businesses, which is a great move in the right direction. We currently have the highest corporate income tax rate in the developed world, which keeps businesses out of our country. It makes it hard for them to do business here, to hire Americans, to raise wages, to create jobs. And that lower rate will really benefit our businesses, but all the people that work for the businesses and invest in them.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that people, by people I mean me, this is the part that I'm the most interested in. How exactly these tax cuts will affect, our paychecks week to week. What we're going to see, hopefully that we'll see more money in our paychecks. But when you cut the corporate tax rate from 35% to 15%, that theoretically would give a lot more profit to businesses. How is that going to affect the everyday American worker?
So when we talk about business tax cuts, we need to remember that businesses are made up of people. It's the workers, it's the investors, and anytime we talk about cutting business taxes, that flows through to workers. The leading economic research right now shows that most of the corporate tax rate is paid by people through lower wages. So cutting the corporate income tax rate will flow down through higher wages, through more jobs, and economic growth. That's sort of the icing on the cake. Wages
right. So basically, what you're saying is, once this does go through, if it actually does go down from 35% to 15%, then everyone should go to their boss and say, "Hey, I deserve a raise because we know you have more money now." Talk to me about the income tax brackets, though. This is a significant cut too. They say it's 3 brackets. It's actually 4, I think, because the 0% bracket. But then 10%, 25%, and 35%. And that top level, that's cutting it down from 39.5%.
Yeah, that's both a simplification and a tax cut, sort of all wrapped up into one. And that's also fantastic to see. It means that people are going to be sending less of their money to Washington, which is always a good thing.
Right, and then the standard deduction here, I'm going to read these numbers to make sure to get them right. So there's going to be an increase in the standard deduction from $6,300, that's if you're an individual, to $12,600 for individuals. Or if you're filing jointly as a married couple, it goes from $12,600 to $24,000. That's going to impact people's tax returns pretty big, I think.
Yeah, so that means more people will be able to use that higher deduction and again reduce the amount of money that they're sending to Washington. I think what that really shows is another commitment from the president to lowering people's taxes, to making it simpler. If you have that big deduction, it means you have fewer complications in your tax return that you actually have to figure out if you just know that you're not going to calculate that bottom.
Right. It could put you in a lower tax bracket, I believe, if I'm not mistaken here. Well, let me ask you. Sometimes President Trump puts out these proposals, and not that it's extreme, but he puts it out as the first move in a negotiation here. He expects to have to give a little ground here. Do you think the final bill will look something like this, or do you expect it to be changed from this?
So it is sort of an opening bid, and he needs to get it through Congress. But I certainly hope that people keep him to a lot of these opening sort of goalposts that he's setting. We do need a lower corporate income tax rate. 15% would be fantastic. people do deserve a tax cut. We should be lowering the individual side as well. So I think we should try to keep him to some of these promises and watch how it evolves.
Right. I mean, I don't know who of the American people, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever you want to call yourself, I don't know who wouldn't want more money in their paycheck, who wouldn't want this bill to go through just like this so that we aren't paying as high taxes as we are right now. Adam, we're out of time. Thanks so much for being here.